All right, and boom, we got the first big blockbuster trade of the year. The Ravens acquired edge rusher Max Crosby from the Raiders for 2 first-round picks. The Ravens just absolutely broke the NFL with this trade. They win the Max Crosby sweepstakes, and quite actually, it's the biggest trade in their history. We'll talk about more about that here in a little bit, so stay tuned. But first, going into this trade, oh my God, I want to go to the Raiders side of it first, but Jesus Christ, this is absolutely insane. It was pretty obvious that Max Crosby was going to get traded, let's be honest. But for the Ravens to be the team that comes out with that, oh man. This changes everything. This was a season of an off season with a bunch of uncertainty and a little bit of standoffishness going into it, but now everything's getting blown wide open. But I'm getting too ahead of myself. Let's jump back to the Raiders and talk about them, because Raiders fans in particular, I am so sorry. I am so sorry for your loss. I bet you guys are feeling very upset, feeling very hollow. I mean, I'm sure you guys knew that this was going to happen, but it doesn't make it any better. And as a Titans fan who also saw a great football player, an elite football player, leave our organization because of our front office's incompetence with, A.J. Brown, I feel you. I feel you a lot, and this is just sad. It's not, the worst part, it's not even the first time this has happened. This is the second time the Raiders have wasted a top 5 player in the entire NFL. They traded away Khalil Mack for a bunch of first-round picks. The last time that happened, they drafted Josh Jacobs, Cleveland Farrell, and Jonathan Abram in the first round. How did that work out for them, right? Yeah, this is why the Raiders are in the gutter. But for the fact that it happened twice, the fact that under Mark Davis, this team has lost 2 top 5 defensive players, top 5 players in the NFL, period. The fact that it's happened twice. We need some real accountability for NFL owners, dude. This should not happen. This should not happen at all. How do you waste that? How do you have 2 elite football players in your franchise, like Khalil Mack, like Max Crosby, that are the best at their position in the NFL, arguably, and you lose both of them because you just can't build a good football team? Why? This is why owners need to have some accountability, some checks and balances here. I'd go as far as to say maybe this is why, owners should be forced to sell football teams in sports. If you cannot get your team into a better position as a billionaire, not even as a billionaire, as an owner, as a billionaire, if you can't find the resources to get this crap right or get it in the right direction over so many years of the Raiders being horrible, you should be forced to sell the team. I'm sorry. If you can't make the cut, if you can't do it, you can't do it. If players and coaches and other personnel have to work in this volatile environment where every little mistake could cost them their job, yet the owner can make countless mistakes and not even shed a single ounce of sweat for fear of his job, that's wrong. Owners should be held accountable to the highest standard for failing to make their team good. And I get it, not every team can be good. It's not possible. But at some point, you have to get something right. And the fact that the Raiders have not gotten anything right over these past decade or so, plus, ever since the turn of the century, the Raiders have been mostly horrible. So, the fact that they've been horrible this long is just unacceptable. And you look at also the Vegas move, which, way to alienate your fan base, Mark Davis, to go chase the money. The fact that you get that move and how exceptionally bad the Raiders have been since the move to Las Vegas, it's clear and obvious to me that Mark Davis doesn't care about winning is nowhere near as much as his father did. And as much as Mark Davis grew up around his dad, the fact that he has zero ability to do an ounce of what Al Davis was able to do and turn that and turn the Raiders into the historic franchise that they are, with the reputation that they've developed over the years, over the decades. Like, the fact that you screw that up, it's just so wrong. It's so wrong that Mark Davis isn't being held accountable for this. But with that being said, Max Crosby is gone, and they're now going into another rebuild. It's another clean, fresh slate for the good old Raiders here, and the move also saved $30 million in cap space for the Raiders. That jumped them up to the most cap space in the NFL going into free agency, so they have a little bit more money to play around with, to build around who is going to be their first overall pick, Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana. But maybe, being a little optimistic, just maybe, this is the move that will get Mark Davis to pull his head out of his own butt. Maybe, just maybe, he'll take a good long look in the mirror and realize that the Raiders right now have a golden opportunity to finally make things right, to finally pay for the 2 decades of misery that this team has been through as of late. You get a young quarterback that's super talented like Fernando Mendoza. You have 3 first-round picks in the next 2 years along with that to build around him, along with a bunch of other picks. If you can hit on your draft picks and really build this roster around Mendoza the right way, this Raiders team will go back to prominence. But it's a big ask, and it's a tall order. But maybe, just maybe, Mark Davis will finally pull his head out of his butt and make it happen. We'll have to see, though. But now it's interesting because what do the Raiders do with that extra pick? My opinion, I think they draft an offensive lineman. I think that's pretty easy. Draft a quarterback, draft an offensive lineman, preferably a tackle, to go with Mendoza for the next 10 years. That's theoretically what you want. Maybe you draft a wide receiver maybe in the mid-rounds if one there is available. You know, the Raiders already have Brock Bowers at tight end. They do have Trey Tucker, Jack Beck, Dante Thornton. So they have a lot of young receivers on their roster. But shoot, add another one in the middle of the first round and hey, take that. Like, you go into Fernando Mendoza's rookie year with a bunch of young, talented weapons that he could grow with over the course of his career. That sounds like a great idea to me. And with as much money as they have in free agency, they can flesh out the roster and get it to a somewhat competitive standpoint going into this year. So they have a real opportunity to make this right with this trade. And, you know, even when there is a lot of darkness, the Raiders are definitely in their darkest hour at the moment. But Fernando Mendoza and what this offseason could bring could really give a bright, shining light to that tunnel. And Raiders fans can finally begin to see the end of it, which they have not seen a real, consistent shimmer of light in so long. And they deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. As horrible as their team has been and alienating the team and moving it to Las Vegas. I mean, the Raiders fans deserve a good football team more than anybody for the most part. I mean, the NFL is better when the Raiders are good. So here's to hoping that this is the big moment that the Raiders have been waiting for to finally get back to prominence. Now we go to Baltimore. Now we get to the juicier side of the trade, because first of all, who allowed this? Because you get a top 5 player, pair him with one of the most innovative defensive minds in the NFL, along with an historically great football team like the Baltimore Ravens. That's why I said the rich get richer. Oh my God, this is massive. This is absolutely massive. This goes from an uncertain to a little bit of an iffy, interesting offseason for the Ravens to downright, they are going to be contenders next year. With this move, Baltimore are contenders again. Last year was a fluke. Let's be honest for a second. There's a reason why the Ravens made the biggest trade in their franchise's history. They have never done this. They have never traded a first-round pick for a veteran player ever in their history as the Baltimore Ravens. The most they ever gave up was a second-round pick for Roquan Smith, and that's the truth. They're a draft and develop football team. But here is a truth for you. They only had 30 sacks last year. Their pass rush was not very good. Their secondary also was very, very bad. A lot of that had to do with the fact that they couldn't get a pass rush. They go hand in hand with each other. And bottom line is coaching. The reason why the Ravens defense was so bad wasn't because they had bad players. No, they have one of the most talented defenses in the entire NFL on paper. It was coaching. Coaching is what ruined this defense. Ever since Mike Macdonald left to become the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, this defense has nowhere been close to what they were under him. And you have Jesse Minter, this great defensive mind. You give him Max Crosby, and you look at the rest of the talent that is on Baltimore's roster. Listen to this. Listen, where's it at? If I can find it. Max Crosby, Justin Matabuke, Mike Green going into year 2. That's something to look at. Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks. This defense still has a bunch of good, talented football players. And now they have the elite pass rusher up front to terrorize offensive lines that could really elevate the rest of this defense. And you pair that with a defensive mind that is going to get the absolute most out of these players. I fully believe that. Jesse Minter is going to make this defense really good again. And considering that you have a new offensive coordinator coming in into Clan Doyle to coach Lamar Jackson, you need a good defense. You need a good defense to help this offense grow and deal with their growing pains a little bit better and make the season and those struggles more navigatable. Is that even a word? Make it easier for them to navigate the season, because if you're having struggles on offense and then you're having struggles on defense as well, the Ravens aren't going to be a good football team. And here's the deal. The Ravens are almost never not a good football team. They're going to be good next year. They're going to be in the playoffs next year. And this move solidifies that for me. And the interesting part is, even with the move, the expectations are going to be low for Ravens standards. Sure, I mean, the Ravens are never not good, like I said, so they're always going to be in the mix. But even if they were to make the playoffs and lose in the wild card round or lose in the divisional round, I don't think it's going to be super detrimental or an awful feeling like it was under John Harbaugh, who was still trying to chase that last Super Bowl title. This is a new head coach. It's a new regime. So there's a new found patience within the organization. I express to fans, Baltimore fans, NFL fans, to be patient with this as well. Because this is a new head coach, I'm not expecting the Ravens to immediately be juggernauts. But I do expect them to be contenders and be a playoff football team. I guess contender, not like a true Super Bowl contender, but a playoff contender. Going to be in the playoffs, probably will win a playoff game if I had to guess right now. We're still way too far away to make that decision a little bit more confidently, but that's how I'm feeling right now with this move. I'm riding the high of this trade, and here's the deal. The Ravens need weapons, like I said. Or no, wait. Pause. I didn't even get to that part yet because I've lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. So, like I said, the Ravens are going to be contenders. The defense is going to be good. And with the new offensive coordinator coming in, here we go. The other issue is Baltimore does need weapons, which the defense being good helps us out a lot. And the question is, where are they going to go at this point for weapons? Because now their first round picks are gone. They can't draft a receiver high. So, do they get a veteran in free agency? I guess the receiver class isn't very good. Maybe you go get Mike Evans. That would be interesting. So, maybe there's some good options in the third round, second round that you could pick. Definitely there's a good pool of high floor players. Not a much high ceiling, but something there to help out Lamar Jackson. Looking at maybe... who could they take? Chris Bell could fall to him, maybe. Omar Cooper. Omar Cooper could be interesting for the Baltimore Ravens. Or an Elijah Surratt, maybe. Those two Indiana receivers were very productive in that national championship run. So those could be fits, maybe. I don't know. I have to do a little bit more research on the wide receivers to see who would really fit with Baltimore's new offense. But here, I will conclude with this. I will conclude with a trend that I've noticed, because Baltimore just made an aggressive move, and the Buffalo Bills, who I just talked about with DJ Moore trading, you should check out this video, or that video right after this one. But there is a trend here that these teams that were at the top, like Baltimore, like Buffalo, that have taken a step down last year, they're getting aggressive because of some of these teams that have taken rise in the NFL, like the Patriots, like the Jaguars, like the Bears. Last year, we saw a potential power shift. This year, we're going to see if that power shift is legit. But if it's not, and some of these top teams continue to remain competitive for the playoffs and fighting in that area, we could get an even closer season this year than last year. Just hear me out for a second. Going with a couple weeks left in the regular season, they were over nearly half the league was still in playoff contention. That could be very much in play next year by the end of the year in December. That could be a real possibility. And you're seeing Buffalo and Baltimore be aggressive to try and maintain their position and their standing in the NFL with all these other teams on the rise. It's going to get very interesting, especially in the AFC North with Mike McCarthy leading the Steelers now. Who knows what they're going to do at quarterback? And then you look at the Bengals and where they're going to be. I don't think there's going to be in the playoffs. The Steelers are going to be competitive. The Ravens, I think, early favorites to win the AFC North at this point. The Browns, they're going to be awful again. I don't expect the Browns to be any better than what they are now. But, I mean, here's a green light for Baltimore to take over the division, take it back, and reclaim their spot as a top dog in the NFL right now. And the aggression definitely needed. The trade, this was a historic trade to fix a historic problem with Baltimore. And honestly, I couldn't be more excited for them. I'm excited for the Raiders because of their opportunity. I've kind of gotten away from them here a little bit. But for the Ravens as well, they made the all-in trade they needed to fix their defense and get this team to where they want to be, which is closer to a Super Bowl. And I think with a new defensive coordinator like Jesse Minter and a new, fresh approach, within the next couple of years, Baltimore just might get there. So with that being said, that is me breaking down the Max Crosby trade. What do you guys think of what just happened? Do you think this really makes Baltimore playoff contenders, Super Bowl contenders even? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, make sure to like the video and get subscribed and stay subscribed. I got a lot of content coming out in the coming weeks. This week, I'm going to have a full mock draft, first round mock draft 1.0 out for you guys around midweek, early to midweek, Tuesday or Wednesday. And then Titans fans, if you guys are out there, Titans mock draft coming out earlier in the week. Not to mention free agency starts this week. So not by the week's end, I will have a video out for you guys recapping all of the moves that happened and giving you my thoughts on each and every one. So got a lot of content coming out. Best time to get subscribed to the Shoe Make Take is right now. You do not want to miss all the content coming out. But that is going to do it. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys oh so very much. And as always, I will see you all next time.